So Parleys is basically an e-learning platform which we use for different conferences. So you can actually really experience the talks online, offline. You can download them, watch them on your iPads, Androids, take it on the move and just learn and see the talks. We actually hosted the JavaOne talks last year on Parleys, and we also host like 40 different user groups, DevOps, JFocus, JFall, many different content. So if you don't know it, it's a really great platform to actually get up to speed on different topics. And then, the majority of the talks are actually free. We have about 1,800 talks hosted there, so you can watch talks till you drop. So that's it. I'm here to actually say a bit about how we're using GlassFish. And this is a high-level topology of how it is deployed. So we're actually using a clustered setup. We have, well, it actually started first on Tomcat, but because we had so many users, we really didn't have to scale it. We now have 2 machines running each one instance. And as you can see from the bottom, we first have a MySQL with a master-slave setup. We were also using the message broker to actually synchronize the indexing on Hibernate Search. And then we have Apache load balancers going through the different instances of GlassFish. What's really interesting to see, we get a really high peak when we release new talks. So like if last year at JavaOne, when we actually published the talks and we tweet and announce it, we really see a big spike, and the same situation for DevOps. So at a certain time, we actually announced, I think it was DevOps last year, and we had 2,000 concurrent users, and GlassFish wasn't even shrinking. I mean, it didn't notice. I mean, it could handle it very easily. So just by looking at that and that experience, we started adding more applications. So now we're also running the DevOps registration application. We're also running the call for papers application, and it's all running on those 2 instances. So yeah, I'm a really happy user. That's why I'm actually standing with. So what worked? Well, the GlassFish cluster definitely worked. It's very easy to set up. We are nevertheless considering actually with the new version of Parleys, we're moving towards more a lighter weight model. So we're going to actually use a stateless setup. So we don't actually need to use the cluster anymore. We will just use multiple instances of GlassFish, and then because it's stateless, it can go to any other of those instances. So that's also going to maybe decrease the complexity if we want to add more instances to the cluster. Another important thing that we've done is that we've factored out completely the Spring framework, because we actually have like a 40 megabyte WAR file, and if you then have to deploy it, it does take a bit of to actually get that deployed. So we've moved completely to a Java EE6 stack where we're using JAX-RS, we're using MongoDB, we're using Elasticsearch, very, very lightweight, and it deploys in sub-seconds. So that's really nice to see. The idea is that we use it a lot. You can really include it in shell scripts and do automated tasks, so that we're very happy about that as well. And I'm we're a big user of the versioning support from 7. That worked really, really well. And then of course also the messaging queue is, we just started. What's really scary is that you run it, you start it, and it just keeps on running. I mean, you don't have to restart or whatever. It's, again, really happy. Oops. There's a slide missing. I think I missed the slide. Because I had the what's wrong or whatever, but I can talk about it. I mean,
well, that's the slide to miss if there's a slide. I said that's a slide to miss if there is a slide to miss.
Well, maybe I really can help with what I'm talking about. But for me, I'm not such a big fan of the graphical user interface of the administration. I mean, there's really several hooks there that really don't work at all. So you do need to know those gotchas a bit to work around that. But once you know the IES admin tool, you can just do it from the shell script. So that's what we're basically doing. But I was here last year as well, and another feature I would really like to see improved is the customization of the logging. So I can actually define the syntax of the logging, because the log files now are way too long. I mean, I want to do like a tail on the server.log and just see more condensed log outputs. So that's something I would like to see improved. And then my other concern that I had last year was like the monitoring. I mean, we were looking in the dark of like how many users do we have, you know, the resources and so on. I know there's a REST interface and we can, but by doing that talk last year, there was somebody from SL, an American company, who has a product called RTView. That's the slide I wanted to show you. You got it? Yeah, that one. Can we quickly? Yeah, that's the one. So we were like a bit watching in the dark, like we didn't really know how many sessions, memory, and so on. So this is an American product, and these guys were very helpful to actually, give us a free license to use it. But basically, what you can do is it's a dashboard that you can completely customize. So you can create like a heat map of your different instances, really to a very low level, and based on coloring, you can actually drill down. But they have another view, which is this customized display, where you can actually see the number of sessions per instance, memory used, and so on. And it's a really nice way to see, in just one eye, just in one view, basically, you get a healthy sanity check of how the GlassFish instances are behaving. So that really helped a lot for us as well, to actually play with the heat and then different parameters of the JVM and see immediately how that behaves. So definitely encourage you to have a look at that. Yeah, that's basically it, I think. The last thing I wanted to mention was also, I pushed the survey guys. They're from France, I'm from Belgium, so I said like, well, okay, you should really do a talk at DevOps and talk about your rolling updates. So they did a first alpha release last year in November. So I'm really still waiting for that feature, because that's a bit what's still hurting, is that if we deploy a new version, we do need to bring the war down and then deploy a new one. I mean, you can play with the load balancers so people don't see it, but then you have to wait until the sessions are dead, basically. So I'm really, really looking forward to that rolling up there and see if we can use it in our system. So, any questions? Sure.
So just from a product management standpoint, on the logging, that's actually feedback I took back to the team. So we haven't had a release vehicle to deliver what you're saying to the product, but it's definitely feedback that we're looking at for GlassFish 4.
Great.
Okay, so we're going to see what we can do there.
Yeah. I mean, it's not rocket science to change that, right? So
yeah.
That's what I was about to say. You could implement your own log format, so just
yeah.
your own custom.
I have 1,000 and other things to do, so it's like...
Well, true, but then it's still relatively easy to do it. It's kind of all
Sure, you're right.
But
I had to find a few negative points, right? So, there's not that many for me, actually. So,
what was the reason from switching from Spring to the standardized?
Well, what is the...
We are considering this, and I'm curious what is your experience, and how much was the effort, stuff like that.
So one of the reasons was definitely the WAR file was way too big, and because we choose GlassFish, we really want to follow the spec, and because it's a reference implementation, we can really be upfront of the technology and follow that. It wasn't really that difficult to migrate. I mean, there's some interesting talks on Parleys actually how to do that by Paul Bucker. I recommend you watch it. It's for free. You can see it. I just want to follow the spec. I don't really want to be locked into some more proprietary stuff. So, like for example, the JAX-RS implementation of Spring is really not following they have their own Spring MVC approach, which I really don't like. So I wanted to use the Jersey implementation instead. So that that's not a small thing. That's rather important things that